How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Raiders Daily Show. My name is Stephen Michaels. Let's get right to it and let's talk about your Las Vegas Raiders. All right, so the draft is coming in a couple of weeks here. What will the Raiders do? Do they somehow package some picks and try to get back in the second round? We shall see. We all know that Dave Ziegler is working those phones, trying to get into the second round. We'll see if he has enough capital to do that in this draft. As you know, they have a third-round pick, a fourth, fifth, and I believe they have another fifth-round pick. I think it's 80 overall, 86, and then 126, 164, 165. Maybe you can package those two fifth-round picks and a third, maybe, and a player not to be named. We don't know what player. It could happen. You just don't know. Maybe Raiders see a player that they don't, this new era, new regime, are not that high on. That always happens when you have a brand new staff, a whole new regime, basically, coming into an organization. So, I don't know. I mean, there's some players I could speculate about, but I'm not going to do that here on a public show. But anyways, that could happen. I mean, the Raiders could take a player that you guys like and package that player to get with a couple picks and get in the first or second round. Probably the first round if it's a really good player. We just don't know. And we won't know. Or they can just stay where they are, pick at round number 3, save all that money. They'll have $20 million to play with. Remember, after this draft, a lot of players get cut around the NFL. Plus, there's still a ton of free agents out there. So you will have a little mini free agency right after the draft. That should be interesting, and I think the Raiders will be looking around for talent. They brought in a lot of guys already. We all know that. Some guys, we don't really, some guys are more depth guys. Other guys, I think this coaching staff are more high on than fans realize. Anthony Everett is one. I think this guy it might be competing against Mullen. To be honest, I think he might be competing for a starting role. And also in the draft, I posted this on Twitter, so I could say it here. I know for a fact the Raiders are looking at cornerback and offensive line. That's where they want to go in this draft. But anything could happen. If there's a good player on their board that they didn't expect to be there, that's not a defensive back or an offensive lineman, perhaps they go take that player, which every team does. Obviously, they take the best player on the board, especially if a player was not supposed to be there. And of course, all bets are off if they do end up in the first or second round. I have to imagine that Mark Davis really wants to be on the national stage selecting while the draft is in Las Vegas. Otherwise, you're just picking and, in the third round. Not a lot of viewers. And people mostly watch that first round and the second round of the draft. That's where you get the most viewers. So, we shall see what the Raiders do there. And then, of course, we also have the Derek Carr and Raiders extension thing going on. We know there's ongoing talks. That's been reported everywhere. Will they come up with some kind of agreement? Now remember, Josh McDaniels did say he wants to do what's best for the future of the Raiders, and he has to. And Dave Ziegler said the same thing. He has to do what's best for the organization, and Derek Carr has to do the best for what he thinks is the best for himself and his family. So, what does that even mean? No one knows, really. No one's going to know besides the agent, Tim Younger for Derek Carr, and, of course, the Raiders. Now, I think at the end of the day, this thing will all be solved and he'll take an extension. This is coming down, I think, to years. I think Derek Carr wants more years than the Raiders are willing to give. which I don't understand, especially if you structure a contract right. Dave Ziegler is really good at doing that. It doesn't matter if you give the guy a 10-year contract. You know you have an out in 2 years. So I don't get why that would be a hang-up. I don't think it has much to do with the money, because the Raiders have money. They could give Derek Carr $40 million guaranteed if they wanted to. Also, it would make more sense right now for the Raiders to get an extension done, because it would free up money for the Raiders to use right now for Derek Carr. So it will be interesting, and I don't think the Raiders are budging. Wherever they are at, no one really knows, but wherever they are at, I think they're firmly going to stay there in terms of talks. I think they feel like they have the leverage at this point. Remember, a whole new coaching staff, a whole new GM, sometimes they want their own guy. And they understand Derek Carr is the quarterback of the Raiders. He's a veteran. I mean, he could easily just be that bridge quarterback to eventually another quarterback stepping in a year or two. I think that's what Josh McDaniels sees out of Derek Carr, unless, of course, Derek Carr changes everything and the Raiders go out there and win a Super Bowl. That would change everything. And also, got to remember, Derek Carr, Josh McDaniels, I mean, these guys haven't had a ton of time together. I think training camp, OTAs, training camp, things like that, that will also, once they get talking and things like that, getting to know each other, I think that will help. But we do know eventually he's going to take this extension, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. I know for a fact when he says he wants to retire a Raider, we know Derek Carr says he's crazy off-season quotes, but that one is true. He wants to retire a Raider. How long does Derek Carr even want to play football? What if he only wants to play 5 more years? So it's a lot that goes into it, and we'll see what happens. But I really think this will all end fairly soon. He'll take an extension. I don't know if we'll never know if he got the money he initially wanted, the years he initially wanted. We'll probably never know the answer to that question. I don't see his agent going out there and telling the world, like, oh, we didn't like this deal, but we had to take it anyways. But that's how this is going to work. The Raiders are in a new era, and they are going to just give their offer, and that's it. I mean, the worst that could possibly happen is that Derek Carr simply does not take the offer. But remember, he's under contract this season. Next year, the Raiders could franchise tag him if they really wanted to. If it came down to that, I just don't see that happening. I just don't. For people listening to this on YouTube, I give that 4 Gilbert heads, by the way. Him not signing an extension. That means I don't think it's going to happen. Right? I think. I don't know how the heads work. But anyways, so we'll see what happens there. Also, the Raiders, they're pretty much set. They're got to add a little more players. We all know that. I see on social media, people keep on. I mean, you got fake Twitter insiders that, according to them, the Raiders already signed Stephon Gilmore like 3 weeks ago. I don't know if you guys know that. But no, the Raiders have not signed Stephon Gilmore. Maybe after the draft, they go revisit that. A lot of those guys are going to have to come down on their prices. And that will happen after the draft, once reality sets in. Right now, agents are obviously trying to get the best deal for their clients. That's their job. But some teams right now are staying firmly where they are. They don't want to overpay some of these players. A lot of these teams already did overpay. So they don't have money to overpay another veteran. So a lot of these players, their prices are going to go down. Some of these vets might have to take those 1-year deal, prove-it deals. It's just the way the business works. That's just the way it is. And I think the Raiders are smart to do that. Wait till after the draft. And then if Stephon Gilmore is still around, then that's when you go to Stephon Gilmore and say, hey, listen, we'll give you $8 million right now, guaranteed, boom, up front. You get $8 million, you come in. Never know. We never know. Or the guy could sign tomorrow with the Kansas City Chiefs or some team like that. Same thing with the Honey Badger. I think his agent is looking for a little bit more money than teams want to give. Because I know for a fact he really wanted to sign with the Saints, and that did not happen. That did not happen. As of right now, at least, he did not there's no deal. So he might be asking for too much money. They might have to come down a little bit to be more realistic for a team to sign those type of players. Free agency, by the way, still loaded, like I said. Still a lot of good players out there just waiting. I mean, and I think it's part of a game. Now it's part of like, hey, these agents are like, let's just wait this out. Let's wait it out to after free agency. When teams have to cut more players, teams will have some more money, and then maybe they'll give us what we want. I think that's the game right now. And GMs are saying, no, we're never going to give you that money. We're going to stay committed to the offer we already have on the table. Take it or leave it. And at the end of the day, guess what? Those players will end up taking it. Because especially if they still want to play football. They're going to end up taking a deal that they probably didn't really think they were going to get, or they wanted a lot more to begin with. Because remember, this free agency started out with J.C. Jackson getting paid a ton of money, and all these players getting paid big time money. Davante Adams completely resets the wide receiver market. Next thing you know, all these wide receivers want new contracts, and guess what? They're getting them. They should all send Davante Adams a big thank you gift. They should be sending them some gift cards to Applebee's, whatever. You got to be sending this guy something because this guy reset the market for all of you guys. Meanwhile, the Raiders got a bargain, but it didn't look like that at first. It just looked like a ton of money, right? But then when you break it down, the Raiders got a bargain for one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, which is only going to help Derek Carr. Those guys already have chemistry. As you know, they played together at Fresno State. And, of course, they're going to be working out all off season. Everyone knows that. That's what Derek Carr does with all his wide receivers. That's what every quarterback does, by the way, in the NFL with all his wide receivers. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, the right chemistry. Hopefully, Derek Carr and McDaniel's system thrives. Hopefully, he can get the ball out of his hands fast. Hopefully, he can feel the pressure and does not fumble every time he gets sacked. Because, listen, I think Derek Carr, if he can be consistent, a lot of people don't understand because I guess people get upset when I give a real analysis of what's going on here. But Derek Carr, throughout his career with the Raiders, has had these problems with being consistent. You know, he looks great for 3 games, but then all of a sudden, I mean, look at last year. You got like the Giants game, it just crumbles, you know. And then the problem with, every time he gets sacked, he fumbles the football. That's a major problem. You're giving the ball back to the other team. But I will say this about Derek Carr, and I tell everyone this, and this is what all fans should understand. When the game is on the line and you got 1 minute left, and Derek Carr is about to go out there on the field, there's a very good chance the Raiders are going to win that game. Derek Carr, in my opinion, is probably one of the best comeback quarterbacks in the NFL. If you give them the ball, if the Raiders get the ball and let's say they're down a touchdown, down 3, or, they're down 1, whatever the case may be, Derek Carr gets the ball with 2 minutes, I bet you the Raiders are going to win that game, or he's going to put them in position to win that game. I know it didn't happen last year against Cincinnati, but remember, Cincinnati went on to go to the Super Bowl. The Raiders, they were a touchdown away from tying that game, and who knows what would have happened. They had a lot of momentum last year, so who knows? So hopefully this new staff can come in. They brought in some of their own guys. A lot of them not really, big-time stars. No names that people really know. But that is the Patriot way. That is what the New England Patriots do. They bring in guys. How many stars are on the Patriots that you can name? Probably around 6, right? And that's what the Raiders have. Like guys that are publicly known. But it's really not about that. It's about the scheme. And it's about execution. And that's what Patrick Graham brings on a defense. That's what Josh McDaniels brings on the offense. My only concern is Josh McDaniels as a head coach. Sorry, I'm not about to give him any trophy yet as a head coach when he has not earned it. He must earn it for me. That's just my opinion. He must win, because at the end of the day, I don't care about stats. I don't care about what Pro Football Focus tells you. I don't care. You know what I care about? The win-loss column. You know what I care about? Super Bowl rings, Lombardi trophies. I care about winning. So if this team can do that, then we're in some good shape. This is Josh McDaniels, by the way. This is his last chance. He had a chance at Denver, failed. He fails with the Raiders. He's never going to get that opportunity again. He knows that. So this is pretty big for McDaniels. This is big for Dave Ziegler. Both guys, they want to succeed. They are trying to put the Raiders in the best spot to do so. And, you know, when you got Max Crosby and Chandler Jones and you got Pecco there in the middle, let me tell you, this team, they're pretty good. Don't forget about guys like Nate Hobbs and Malcolm Kuntz and, you know, all these other guys that, you know, they're healthy scratches last season. They're going to get a new, fresh set of eyes, because it does not matter what you did last season or in 2020 or 2019. If you're still on this Raiders roster, this is a whole new Raiders regime. They don't care what you've done before. They care about what you can do for them now. Maybe some of those players like a Jonathan Abram or whoever, you know, really has not lived up to the hype, right? Maybe he just needs a scheme change. Maybe. Or maybe he's part of some kind of trade package for the draft. We don't know. I didn't hear that at all. I'm just saying that. But, you know, either way, these guys will get a fresh start and a fresh new scheme, and hopefully everything goes well, and hopefully this team can dominate and win football games, because they are in, without a shadow of a doubt, the toughest division in football. This season, the Raiders, we know their 2020, we know their opponents for this season. And let me tell you something, you know, I posted this in my the TRD Elite group. Will the Raiders win at least 10 games? Will they match what they did last season? Now, remember, the draft didn't even happen yet. Plus, the free agency after the draft. So we don't even know the roster yet. So it's really early to be talking about this. But, you know, when I look at the schedule, we know their home schedule. They're playing the Broncos, obviously. Broncos at home. They're playing the Chiefs. And they're playing, obviously, the Chargers. But then you got the Cardinals. You got the Texans. You got the Colts. You got the Patriots. You got the 49ers. Pretty tough home games, right? And the Raiders got to get better in Vegas, by the way. Seems like they played better on the road last season than they did in their own stadium. They got to get better in Vegas. Those are some tough games right there, though. Those are some tough games. I don't really buy into Denver. I think the Raiders could beat them. Kansas City will be tough. Chargers will be tough. I say the Raiders split with the Chargers, though, because it's the Chargers. The Arizona, it's one of those wait-and-see things with them, really. Texans, Raiders should be able to beat them. The Colts, I'm saying the Raiders should be able to beat the Colts. The Patriots, Josh McDaniels versus Bill Belichick, should be fun. Raiders better win that because that's my Super Bowl. So I'm giving them the win. 49ers, another tough one. Don't know. And then their away games. Obviously, outside of their division, you got Jacksonville, you got the Rams, you got the Saints, you got the Steelers, you got the Titans, and you got the Seahawks. Okay? Jaguars, I can see the Raiders should be able to win that game. Rams, probably not. Saints, I think the Raiders can win that. Their Saints still are not, I don't think, completely set at quarterback there. Steelers, not set at quarterback right now. I think the Raiders could beat the Steelers. Titans, very hard game, especially if Derrick Henry is healthy. Let's hope that game is kind of later on in the season. Maybe Derrick Henry's hurt or something. Seahawks, I think the Raiders can beat them. So, the long story short here, you know, playing Denver twice, Chargers twice, Chiefs twice, and with these other games, just going off of the roster they have currently, if they can play like they did last season, but with a better defense, they should be able to get to 10 games. They should be able to get to about 10, 11 games. Hopefully that is good enough to reach the playoffs. Now, that's not my final prediction, by the way. My whole prediction for the, will happen way later. But I'm talking right now. Well, we don't even know who the Raiders are drafting, for crying out loud. I'm just talking about right now, looking at this, I could see the Raiders getting 10 wins easily on this schedule. That's just with the talent they have right now. So I think things are looking up for you guys, for Raider Nation. I really think that this season, the Raiders can cause some carnage. But it will be up to these coaches. Josh McDaniels, I'm telling you one thing right now. This is his first year, and I already got him on the hot seat. I got my eyes on this guy. This guy's got to prove and earn to all of you that this guy can lead the ship, that this guy can be the coach for the Raiders for the future. And you know what? There are no setbacks. Mark Davis hired Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels for one reason, because Ziegler told Davis, we will not rebuild, we will just retool. And that's what the Raiders have done. They have not got rid of their core players like Hunter Renfrow, Derek Carr, the core players. Max Crosby, all those guys. They haven't got rid of those guys. The core, players the Raiders drafted, the ones that are there. I'm not talking about Casey Hayward or, that guy's a veteran who was brought in. They're core players, their own guys. They're all still there. And that's what the new GM is doing. He is building up off of those guys. Their run game should be spectacular. Hopefully Kenyon Drake is completely healthy by the start of the season. You got Brandon Bolden coming in. You got Josh Jacobs. Who knows? Maybe they get another running back somewhere. They still got another Abdullah there, another running back. They already have 4 running backs, but, with the undrafted rookies, maybe one's really good. That's another thing you got to remember. Undrafted players this season. Patriots always, went through their undrafted players, find a gem in there. It's kind of hard to do, but usually, once every couple of years, the team finds a really good one. And maybe the Raiders find one that's really good. I do have concerns about their secondary. There's no doubt. Like I said on the top of the show, Anthony Everett, he's going to be competing against Mullen. But I really think they need another guy in there. One more guy. Amika Robertson has not really done much. We'll see maybe, like I said, with a different scheme, he'll be better. But I would still like the Raiders to go after a DB in this draft or in free agency. I would like a veteran, to be honest. So a Stephon Gilmore would not bother me at all. I just don't think you should overpay for him. But absolutely, if you can get him for the right price after the draft, go ahead and go get him. I just know that there's really no communication between those sides. But we also don't know what happens behind the scenes. We also don't know what they spoke about right at the beginning of free agency. And that's just reality, guys. Despite what you read or hear, that's just reality. Those guys could already have a verbal agreement for all we know. I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying no one really knows. I don't think they do, though. I think Stephon Gilmore's looking for a big payday, and the Raiders are kind of saying, we know you pretty well. We're not about to pay you that much money, just like they weren't going to pay J.C. Jackson that much money. And no one knows that more than Dave Ziegler. Let's be honest here. The Patriots, they pretty much let all their big name guys leave in free agency. They don't pay them. They just replace them. They don't pay, they replace. That's what they do. Rinse and repeat. They with different guys, and guess what? It works for them. They're in the playoffs every single year. So you can't. I hate the Patriots. I hate them they're a bunch of scumbags. I can't stand them. But they find a way to make the playoffs every year, and they got how many Super Bowls do they got? They got a lot of them. The Raiders need to catch up. I think the Patriots have 6, right? 5 or 6, whatever that number is. Listen, in 6 years, I want the Raiders to have more than them. Okay? Raiders got 3 now. Let's get another 3 in 6 years. Let's do that. But anyways, so the draft it's coming soon. And of course, we will do a draft show a week before the draft and obviously right after the draft. And of course, next week, there will be an all-new episode of the Raiders Daily Show. So thanks a lot for listening, everyone. If you want to support the show, you can on Venmo at the Raiders Daily. At the Raiders Daily Podcast, I should say. Cash App is just the Raiders Daily. And that's it. So thanks a lot for listening. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Stitcher or TuneIn or whatever in your car, it's everywhere. YouTube, because I upload it on YouTube. So thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the Raiders Daily. Me, Stephen Michaels. And let's just win, because that's the only thing that matters in the National Football League. My name is Stephen Michaels. This is the Raiders Daily.